Hello, and welcome to Minority Reportz Racism Misogyny panel. I'm your host, Shaikh. I am very, very excited about this panel today, mainly because it's our first time doing a panel like this, and second, because our lineup is like fire, man. And I'm drooling. Look at me, I'm drooling already. I'm so excited about this lineup. Okay, so our lineup is pretty amazing. We have the amazing, we have an OG from London. We have an OG calling in from Dubai. And then later we're going to have an amazing comic joining in from LA. So first we're going to go ahead and welcome the very funny, you have seen this hilarious comic on BBC, on Graham Norton, my very funny friend, Shazia Mirza. Shazia, welcome.
Hi,
welcome. I wish you had a little bit more light on your face, just a little bit more.
Listen, I've got to tell you, it's 9 o'clock in the evening here in London, so I was getting ready for bed. So I was oiling my face and putting my creams on. And then Mona goes, "Oh, you've got to come online." Took me 2 hours to download Google Chrome. This fucking technology, it's just too much. I just want to get married.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I put you through that. I apologize. But I'm so grateful that you could join us because I'm very excited about this panel. I'm going to invite our next guest up. She is been seen on Comedy Central Arabia. I've been following her for a while. I've been wanting to do something with her. And she's a New Yorker. So I just love her even more. She's Italian, so I love her even more. The very funny Mina Liccione, based in Dubai. Mina, welcome.
Hey, salam alaikum. Thank you so much for having me.
How are you?
It's midnight here, girl. I hear you. Yeah. She's like, it's 9 over there. I'm like, am I going to turn into a pumpkin or some shit? I'm like, it's midnight.
If you turn into a pumpkin, I am
You're like,
so
I just
there.
want to get married. I was like, my husband set up the Chrome for me and everything. I was like, baby, come over. I need to make sure this is all good.
No, I am very, very excited about this. I know we're gonna just get going because hey, let's just jump right into it. I want to start off with this question. So we're going to first talk about like misogyny and the wonderful world of misogyny. We are all female comics, and we've clearly experienced it at some form and another, maybe just in regular life or in stand-up world. So Shazia, we'll start off with you. How much misogyny have you experienced as a female comic?
Well, in Britain, when I first started stand-up comedy, there was no Muslim women doing stand-up. I was the first. And this was only like 12, 13 years ago. And people would say to me, male comics would say to me, well, you're not going to be doing this for long, are you? Because you're going to have to get married. And then they would never have, when I started, there was never any women on the bill. If you were a woman on the bill, it's because you were a special act. So you were either disabled or black or a woman. All of those were in one category. And that was a special category. You would be the special act for the evening. I didn't realize I was doing anything special. I thought I was just telling jokes like everybody else. Yeah. But I think a lot of times when men are being misogynistic towards women, they don't know they're doing it, or they don't realize they're doing it. It's a subconscious thing. It's the way they've been brought up. It's what they're used to. This is how their mothers were, their sisters were, their culture is. It's not an excuse, but you don't know what you don't know. And this is what is normal to them. And until somebody corrects them, they don't know otherwise. And I think a lot of times, especially in comedy, women are not that confident to express their views, because they don't want to be confrontational. They don't want to fight. They don't want an argument. They just want to keep the peace. Because for women, that has been a way of surviving in life, is to just keep the peace. And now, especially now, you have to be brave. And you have to not worry about offending people or being culturally offensive or whether you're saying the right thing or not. You just have to tell them the truth in a nice way.
What is a nice way, Shazia?
Well, you know, you don't have to punch them in the face and call them a stupid, misogynistic.
Oh, man, that's exactly how I want to live with that.
That kind of thing, Mona. What we usually do. We need to pull that back a bit. What we need to do is just say, listen, that's not how you do it. You know, that's not what you say. This is how you treat a woman. This is what you say to a woman. A woman might not appreciate that. Why don't you say it this way, or this is what I mean? You know, there's many ways that you can have that conversation now. And if somebody's a decent person, they will always be willing to hear what you have to say.
Sure. I agree with you. What about now, Mina, you're based in Dubai. You are a New Yorker, correct?
I'm sorry?
You're from New York?
Yes. I'm from New York, and I moved to Dubai almost 13 years now.
Wow. So have you been doing comedy this entire time in Dubai?
Yes. Yes, indeed. And similar to what she was saying about in the UK, there was no local stand-up. It wasn't. You know, the only stand-up comedy there were having big names flown in either from the UK or from the USA. So we kind of, my husband just happens to be a comedian too, and he's from Dubai. So we decided to start a school to offer more platforms and for people, like she was just saying, to get confident in their voices, and to also, I don't want to say to educate, but more to break stereotypes and be like, no, man, comedy, it doesn't have to be offensive and racist and vulgar. It needs to be honest, just to tell your point of view, and it's all good. So 13 years later, and it's the scene is coming up. Middle East is comedy with our hip hop now. It's
feel
a long
like
way.
By the way, there's like a sound in the background. Do you guys hear that? Like there's like somebody's talking in the background or something, or somebody's sound is out. I don't know. That's okay. The wonderful world of technology and live streaming.
It's a blessing and a curse,
right? Let's go get some coffee.
It's Trump's government, Mona. It's Trump's government. They're in on this with us.
Yes, they are. I hope they are, because I need some more gigs. I mean, my gigs are canceled.
I hope they're not, Mona, because I've just got my green card and I don't want to be deported before I've even entered the country.
Shazia, I will vouch for you. Don't you worry. You can. I will shelter you when you come here. You can be a refugee in my place. Don't you worry. I got
a refugee.
Yeah,
I'm British. I'm British.
I know. That's what I'm talking about. If they come after you for whatever reason.
I'm British. I can never be a refugee anywhere. I'm most welcome. Refugee? I've never been called a refugee in my life.
Actually,
I'm a British
refugee, not you though, because I need to leave America soon if this fucker doesn't leave. So I'll be a refugee in your place. I'm coming crashing your place, Shazia.
I'm sorry, Mona. I don't know if you've heard, but we're full. Sorry.
Canada's full too, apparently. They're not taking us either.
Yeah. Yes, Canada.
We're a very small country. I'm sorry, we're a very small country.
That's very true.
And we have enough of your quota.
That's very true. I probably have to find like a Scandinavian husband or something. I think that I heard.
I've heard they're full. They're full as well. They're full as well.
I don't know what I'm gonna do. I think I probably have to go to Pakistan and be somebody's fifth wife.
Yes, Mona. Like your president says, you have to go back to where you came from.
That's very true. That's very true. I mean, he's doing a good job at it. So we're going to make sure that he goes back to where he came from come this November, which is his shithole, his shithole background, wherever the fuck he comes from. I want to kind of touch upon, I feel like, this is a global issue. This is not even a South Asian, just a Middle Eastern issue. This whole thing with misogyny. But I feel like in the Middle Eastern culture, in the South Asian culture, it's a lot more accepted. It's a lot more, it's digestible. People don't really find it that offensive. And then if women like you and I come out and like question people or call them out on it, they look at us like we have fucking two heads. I feel like our roles in our culture, whether we're studying comics or not, as just women, is there are only two roles for women. Two roles. Either you're a religious, pious woman or you're a whore. There is no middle ground for women. I don't know, Shazia, do you feel that way?
Well, I think this is an old kind of statement here. I know it exists in our culture, but I think Jerry Hall, who was married to Mick Jagger many years ago, she said, all he wants is a cook in the kitchen and a whore in the bedroom.
Yeah.
And that's that kind of idea that's all a man wants is somebody to cook and fuck. Yeah. I mean, obviously that belongs in its own ages, but it is the basis of a lot of men's philosophy these days, even if they're educated or not.
Yeah.
Because I've met men who have been very educated, who've wanted me to be their second wife.
Right.
You know, they had a first wife and they were looking for a second wife.
Right.
And, you know, Mona, this was really offensive to me because I've never come second in anything in my life. I'm always first.
Yes.
So I told him, yeah, right. So I told him to fuck off. But the thing is, I mean, to be that entitled that I want a second wife. Yeah. And he was an educated man, but he had Stone Age medieval philosophy about how women should be. And I think that whether you're educated or not, sometimes it has nothing to do with it. Yeah. Sometimes it is just the way that men view women, how they view them. And that can come from their mother being their primary role model. Right. It can come from the way their sisters are treated, and they saw that growing up, and they replicate that behavior. Sometimes it's just learnt behavior. Right. And that needs to be uneducated by women like us, telling them that actually this is not acceptable. We don't want this. We don't like this. We don't find this attractive. Let's find another way. And I think it's time for women to speak up. And part of the problem is women haven't spoken up up until this point. Before, you know, we haven't been confident. We haven't had everybody behind us.
Yes.
We haven't had the strength. And also the big thing is we always felt we weren't going to be believed, or people weren't going to believe what we said if we came up and told a story about, you know, being raped or being assaulted. We weren't going to be believed. Right. But now the power is shifting where women do have more power to say what they think. Right. And there are going to be more women behind them, supporting them. Mm-hmm. And I think women especially need support from other women and other men. Yes. And I think now is a primary time for that.
But don't you think this I agree with you that women have a lot more power now, but you know, let's go to like Mina, you live in the Middle East, right? Is that the same dynamic, and is that happening in the Middle East? I mean, you're experiencing this in real time.
Well, it's everywhere, you know. It's misogyny, racism. It's going to be everywhere in different forms and in different, you know, in different levels. Yes. But right now, it's, you know, a lot happened in Saudi Arabia in the last few years. A lot. Mm-hmm. And so it's, you know, I think a lot of times too, people think of the Middle East, and especially Americans, they assume all of the Middle East is Saudi.
Dubai. Dubai is the definitely Dubai is the Vegas of Middle East.
I mean, yeah, and like I actually checked the stats today because I wanted to know, because His Highness the ruler of Dubai, he was quoted numerous times saying that he really wants like the UAE to be in the top 25 countries for gender equality. So I said, you know what? I'm curious. I just want to see the stats right now, because that's a good goal to have. But where are we at now? And as of right now, in the UAE's federal government, 44% of the leadership roles are by women, and 66% are held by women in leadership roles in the public sector. That's a pretty good number for a start. I mean, this is 66% and 44% is a pretty good number. And Dubai, you know how they are. They're like, go big or go home. So if they have a goal, he's going to reach it. His Highness will definitely reach it. So I definitely, in the 13 years I've been here, I've seen a huge difference. But also, it's a very young country. And one thing I really like about the UAE is that they make change very fast, very much faster than in the States. Oh, gosh. So they definitely, they want to fix it. We have over 200 nationalities are living in the UAE. It's like the Olympics over here, and we're living peacefully. So something, you know, they're doing something right. They're doing something right, and not everything's perfect, of course. There's growing pains wherever you are. But at least they're making moves, and I see many more women in positions of power, decision makers, and starting to really speak, which is amazing. And I didn't see that as much when I first came here 13 years ago. Absolutely not. But today is a different day. I definitely see a lot of progress.
You know, when I came to Dubai to headline a show, I saw a lot of local women, and they have to wear a certain garb. Do those women have the freedom to take that off if they want to?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And Saudi even now is starting to open that up. But in Dubai, 100%, it is a choice. It is a personal choice. Many of my friends, my sister-in-laws, I hear them often talk about the respect for their shayla, the respect for their hijab, and that for them it's an honor because it's they're very religious. And this really has meaning for them. And then I have friends and family members who are the opposite. They're like, you know what? I choose not to wear this. I'm being humble. I'm living in this way as a good Muslim, but I'm choosing not to wear hijab. So there's two very, very different sides. And no, it's not forced at all. I've been asked many times. I've been asked when I go back to the States, they're like, are you forced to be, you know, just like wear those head rags? Are you just forced in the corner? And I'm like, yes, I just go along with it. I'm like, yes, I do. I was like, I have to wear it, but fully covered. The only thing that's allowed to show is one ear, so I can hear my husband calling for me. Make dinner for him, his 7 wives, his 25 kids, and his 4 camels. I have to massage the camels afterwards. I become so good at it, they call me Camel Toe. I mean, come on. Sometimes you have to have fun with the stereotypes, you know. You just gotta, you're like, yeah, let's go with it.
So can you explain what the shayla is? I know, of course. What is the shayla?
The shayla in the Emirati culture, they call the shayla. It's a hijab, but it's a lighter scarf that they wear with their abaya. So it's pretty much a hijab, except they call it a shayla, and it's usually a much lighter, thinner material that will match the abaya. It's usually black, but sometimes, you know, they are so fashionable with the abayas here. I'm like, hey girl, hey. The bikinis are cute, everything, like very fashionable. It's like I'm still going to have the tradition. I'm still going to stay modest, but definitely, you know, show some personality and stuff like that. So
You know, Shazia, I recently had Shazia on as a guest on one of the episodes, and she's always so amazing to have. And we were talking about the freedoms of topics. That as female comics, especially as like brown or Muslim or, you know, comics or female comics, the kind of topics we are allowed to or expected to speak of and the topics we can't speak of. Do you like, Shazia, like what is, I mean, look, you've been doing comedy longer than any one of us. I mean, because that's why I call you an OG. But, you know, for you, it's like, do you think, like, what were the topics in the beginning that you couldn't talk about, but now you have seen the kind of evolution of comedy for females, where you're like, oh, I have a lot more freedom to talk about this where I didn't have it before.
Well, I think if you're a brown comic, if you're a brown comedian of any background, you are always expected to talk about issues. Or, if you're a Muslim comic, why did 9/11 happen? Why is there, are your brothers terrorists? Oh, is that your religion? I mean, we always, when a Muslim comic, a brown comic comes on stage, white people, white critics, and I've had this myself, expect you to address certain issues, talk about what's in the news. We want to hear what you have to say about immigration, terrorism. And sometimes when I've gone on stage and I've talked about removing my mustache, they haven't been interested because I'm not following the agenda.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you always have to do as a comedian what you want to do, what you want to say, because it's you're the comedian. You have to say what you think. If you go on stage always trying to address what you think other people want you to say, you will never do a true piece of work, because you will always be trying to impress other people and living up to other people's expectations. There is a problem in that being a minority comic, or a black comic or a Jewish comic, that you are always expected to speak for your people and speak for your background. And at the end of the day, you can only speak for yourself.
Yes.
You cannot speak for a whole race of people or a whole religion, because everybody is an individual. And part of the racism that is in the world is that we are not seen as individuals. All black people are seen as the same. All Muslims are seen as the same. All Jews are seen as the same. And you can only be specific to your own life and your own point of view.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I feel like, for me, I one of the things that I've noticed is that if I'm doing like a Muslim comedy show or like a Middle Eastern or South Asian comedy show, and God forbid if I bring up even the slightest sexual topic, God forbid, I am just pegged as that. So every person after that would be like, I loved your set, but oh my God, you're so dirty. I'm like, I made one dick joke. One. My entire set is shadowed by one dick joke. Like, what the fuck? Like everything is always about like, oh my God, you're an edgy comic. I remember once doing a show. It was an all Muslim. It was like all these young Muslim folks, 20s to 30s. And I started doing the set, and the guys were loving it. And some of the hijabi sisters were really upset. Why they were upset, I don't know why they were upset. And then one of them after the show came and confronted me, and she was like, I just want to let you know you're not funny. I just want to let you know that. And I was like,
I'd like to let you know that nobody is worse than the hijabis. The hijabis are getting the hijabis are having more cock than anybody. And yet you mention it once and they come down on you. It's because they're the ones doing it.
Listen. And you know what? God bless this. Get as much dick as you want. There is plenty of dick to go around. Like, God bless. Have at it. But like, just this need to go and tell somebody because you feel insecure or like whatever. Like, I'm not taking any dick away from you. Like that, your dick is your dick and my dick is my dick. Like, God bless sis, But there
was enough dick going around the world.
Way more than enough dick. There is plenty of dick.
Mona, let me just be clear here.
Yeah.
There is halal dick available. Halal dick.
Halal dick.
Halal dick is available.
Muslims in the world, there's plenty of halal dick.
Plenty.
Hashtag halal dick. Okay. I hope it trends on Twitter. I really hope it does. Because we need that. And I had this conversation with this hijabi sister, and I didn't get mad at her. And I was like, can I ask you something? I was like, why are you so angry? And she was like, what? She was like, why are you so mad? I was like, do you think it's possible that maybe something I said reminds you of some of your insecurity or something that reflects in you? I was like, maybe it has nothing to do with me, but it has something to do with you. And she like literally just stopped for a moment and was just like, you know what? I think you're right. This has nothing to do with you. This has to do with my own stuff.
It's also a case of if I can't have it, you can't have it.
Right. If I can't have it, you. But it's also like, but you're not a stand-up comic. Like nobody's stopping you from doing stand-up comedy. Get on stage.
But
and
a lot of
how much you suck while wearing a hijab. Go for it.
a lot of times these girls resent you for having the courage to get on stage and be a comedian in the first place. They wish that they could have done that, or they wish they can do that, but they can't. So they attack you because it's actually really what they want to do or what they want to say, but they don't have the courage or the freedom to be able to. So I actually, instead of getting angry now, I just kind of humor them, and I just use the material. Yeah.
For sure.
And I've had a different, I have a very different side of that, because it's interesting because sometimes in the States or in Europe, if I do some jokes about being married to a Muslim, it's a bit more sensitive. And then over here, the women actually, we started a comedy school, so we do a lot of workshops. We started Funny Girls, which is an all-female group, and these women that I think normally would be, oh, I can't do it. And some of them, sometimes their families don't know. And we do have options of venues that, you know, aren't at clubs or serve alcohol. So we do have some club spots. And a lot of women are saying what they want to say through their own voices in kind of a positive way. And it's amazing to see, because I hadn't really seen that before. And I had similar experiences to, like you were both saying. And then all of a sudden now it's like there is this courage and there is this more like, you know what, I want something to say. I'm going to try this. I'm going to take a risk. And many of the girls they don't want to be a professional comedian. By most of them, no. But they're like, I want to do this for fun. I want to express my creativity. I don't want to just focus on business or focus on this. But there is this really interesting and exciting time for hijabi females in the world, in the Middle East right now. There's more and more coming up. Lebanon right now, forget about it. They have some women that are like going for it. Egypt, the UAE we're still like, you know, they're still kind of like, it's very halal. It's very halal. But then you'll go to Jordan, you got women like just kicking ass and taking names. So they're coming up. And interesting enough, women out of the Middle East, which is kind of cool, because the stereotype is the opposite. That it's like, no, once you leave the Middle East, you have much more open minds. But sometimes there's more pressure because you have like my dad's family is Italian immigrants. So I'll use them as an example. And they would always say, back in the old country, oh my God, no, a woman, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. But they remember Italy in the 50s, in the 40s. Italy isn't like that now. Southern Italy is not like that anymore. They have this mentality that they're like, oh, you have to, you know, make this pasta dish. You have to remember that, you know, the whole I walked to school in the snow up a hill with no shoes to get to school. Shut up and get on the freaking bus. Like, we've all heard these immigrant parents' stories, but they're stuck in that past era.
Yeah.
And now it's like, so I met a lot of Middle Eastern like comics, and they're like, oh man, my dad talks about Egypt all the time. But then they go back to Egypt and they're like, this is not at all what I've been taught. So it's kind of interesting to hear what you guys are saying, like in the UK and the USA. And I'm sitting here like, actually, women would surprise you. They might, I think some hijabis here would surprise you.
But see, that's exactly why I wanted to have this panel, right? Where I have somebody in UK, I'm in LA, you're in Dubai. Because when we sit here and the kind of shows we do and the kind of crowds we come across, I think that there may be a lot more conservative, maybe the ones that you come across, Mina, because they've moved on. The Middle Eastern or the South Asian people that are here, they're still living in the time when they left the country, which might have been the 60s or the 70s or the 80s. So their mentality is still there, and they pass that on to their children, versus you, who's living there in real time, is seeing all these big changes. And you're like, well, that's not what I'm experiencing. That's not the conversations we're having, you know?
Yeah,
I mean, but, you know, to me, these female comics, or like even yourself, do you have like certain topics where you're like, okay, I can't talk about that. I can't talk about local politics. I can't talk about that. I can't talk about religion. I can't, like, there are certain topics that are forbidden.
I as an individual, I choose not to dig too deep into religion.
Yeah.
Just that's a personal choice, you know. I just there's enough war, there's enough hate about religion. So for me, I'll make stuff about myself, my family, but I don't really dig that deep. I'm like, I kind of leave it there. In terms of local politics, yeah, we definitely don't do jokes about our government, but I don't really need to. I'm looking at Trump right now, and I'm like, yeah, I don't have a reason to complain. Right. The things that I would have complained about 2 years ago have been getting progressively better. But I don't have a reason to anyways. So that's kind of, that's, and definitely the UAE, like last year, they had, it was the year of tolerance, and they were very, very vocal about nobody making fun of others' religion. If you made any type of hate comments about someone's race, about their religion, you will get arrested. It is they're taking it very, very, very seriously right now. Yeah. And, a local guy was just arrested for doing some racial slurs online. So it's everybody. It's not just expats. Yeah. But they're really trying to be like, no, we need to live in this peaceful country, and we're not going to take this crap. So it's kind of like, I don't, as a comic, I naturally don't want to talk about religion, but also in my environment right now, where people there is a small Jewish community, there is Hindu temples, there is all kinds of different religions. Like I said, over 200 nationalities here. In this environment, it wouldn't work well, and you have to know your audience. People would be uncomfortable and be like, "Oh gosh, I don't know." So it wouldn't work even if I personally wanted to do it. It just wouldn't work in this environment to begin with. And there's jokes that like I would only do in New York. It wouldn't work other places. You guys know, you know what I mean? So
right. Look, I'm a New York comic, so no, I get it. I'm a New York comic, so I.
There's nothing we do in New York. I went to the UK and I was like, oh shit, I don't even understand his dialect, but people are laughing, so he's good. I know he's funny.
Right, exactly.
I was like, in Scotland, I'm like, I think this is English. I don't know, he's Geordie. I love his facial expressions. Everybody else is laughing.
Yeah. It's funny because when I came to Dubai and when I did the show, one of the first things I was told right up front was that I cannot talk about local politics. I cannot talk about religion. I cannot. I mean, that's but Shazia knows that. Shazia, that's I think that's the luxury that you and I get to have living in the West, is that nobody's gonna come and tell us that you can or cannot do.
I mean, when I went to Dubai, I nearly got arrested because they said before I went, I did a show downstairs at the Movenpick Hotel. They used to have a comedy night at the Movenpick Hotel in Dubai. They used to have a comedy night there, and it was at the nightclub and stuff. And they used to bring Western comedians over. But when I got there, they said you can't talk about race, religion, sex. I mean, I had no act left, really. I had nothing left to talk about. I did one joke. I did one joke about, I said, all men are pigs, something like that, especially Muslim men. But that's okay because I don't eat pork, something like that. And anyway, I had the police come to the hotel. The police came to the hotel saying that some people had been offended. They'd been offended and they made a complaint about me. I'd done sexually inappropriate jokes. And I had to tell them, I toned it down that night. You should really appreciate it because I toned it down. It could have been a lot worse. I told them, it could have been a lot worse. I said, I just did one joke. And they wrote me a letter complaining about my behavior and said that I'd be banned the next night if I didn't change my act.
Yeah. Wow.
And what year was this?
This was at the Movenpick Hotel in Dubai in about 2012, 2013.
Wow.
So not that long ago, really. Not really that long ago.
Yeah, I think there must have been somebody in the audience that I don't know. Because the thing is like there's a British group here called A Woman Runs the Laughter Factory, and their whole thing is bringing a slice of home to the UAE. So they specifically bring British comics for like 20 years now. So it's kind of a known thing. People know if I want some good British comedy, if I want to get that vibe, that club vibe, and people like they bring in really great comics from the UK. And I have a feeling you are one of them because they did the move and pick. So the majority of the people who go there, they know what they're going to. Like our side, for us, we do the opposite. We're trying to focus more on not just bringing people in. We're trying to like build it from the ground up to kind of balance that out. Yeah. But we've had like Chappelle here. We have Cat Williams come here.
Right. But then, to be clear. Yeah, but to be clear, Chappelle and Kat talk a lot about race and being Black in America, which I think would be very acceptable. You know, they don't really go, they touch a little bit. Kat definitely talks a lot more about politics than Chappelle does, but they mainly talk about race, which I think is a lot more, acceptable topic, I would think, in the Middle East versus like, me or Shazia, where we're talking about, misogyny in the Muslim culture or calling men whatever we're calling them. And then they're like, oh my God, my feelings are hurt.
But also because Dubai is considered to be an Islamic state.
Yes,
it is. It's the same if you went to Iran or Pakistan, where they are considered Islamic states. So if you are doing jokes about Islam, whether they are religious or not, a lot of people take offense to that because they feel they should because it is an Islamic country.
Yeah.
But the actual people, I remember performing in Pakistan and it was like 1,000 people in a tent outside. And I toned it down because I was worried about offending people. But actually they started shouting, go further, go further. They wanted me to talk more about sex, more about religion. That's what the people want.
Yes.
But obviously the comedians are scared to do that because if something happens, the people are not going to help me, if I get arrested or somebody tries to kill me. But actually the people in those places, they do want more and 100%. They do want new things from the West.
100%. I 100% agree with you. I think because there is so much the sexual repression and you can't talk about religion, you can't talk about this, can't talk about that. People are like dying to hear this kind of stuff. People are dying to be like, tell me the truth. Tell me that you feel the same way as I feel. Like, tell me that. I have experience doing shows where I did a show for a Pakistani Mela for Eid. That was last year. They brought me out to New York. And holy hell, what a shit show that was. So these are like people who are like straight up Pendu. Okay, these are like the pretty Pendu crowd. I don't know if you know what Pendu is, Mina. We're talking about like villager stuff.
Backward.
Yeah, very backwards. Okay. And I get up and the crowd is about upwards of like 2,000, right? It's a big crowd and it's outside and it's raining and there's like Mela going on the side and they want me to do stand-up comedy. I'm like, yo, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I'm going to do the best I can. Okay. So I literally jump off stage and I get into the crowd because they're so far away from me. I'm having a hard time connecting to them. So I jump off stage and I go up and I start talking to the people. I start doing crowd work. Because I'm not really connected to them. They're not connected to me. And I was like, it doesn't matter what comes out of my mouth right now. If they don't feel connected to me, it doesn't matter what I say. So I was just connecting to the people. And all of a sudden, all these young guys were sitting in the front and they were laughing and we were having a good time. I was roasting them and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, I hear the women, few women start chanting for me to get off the stage. They're like, get off the stage. And I was like, so the guys are like, no, you're so funny, keep going. And the women are like, no, get off the stage. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now? I would think it would be the other way around, where the women would be encouraging me and the men would be telling me to get up on stage. And it was like such like for me. And I was like, okay, either this is about like age, where the women are slightly older and the young guys are younger and they're enjoying it because they're a bit of a woke crowd, so they're into it. And then, of course, I started roasting the women because I was like, fuck it. Like, the gloves are if you're going to talk shit, we're gonna talk shit right back, right? And I started talking shit. And at one point, I had this Indian friend of mine, and he was there. He also helped promote the show. And he was standing on the side. I'm like, give it up for my Indian friend, because it was, he was standing on the side. And these bitches started booing him because he's Indian. I was like, are you for real right now? I was like, okay, this brother right here has like help, like bring here, like, this kind of prejudice exists. And the fact that, do you think like Desi crowd or like Muslim crowds are just a little too fucking sensitive? Shazia, what do you think?
Well, I think comedy is new to the Desi crowd. I mean, it's not like black comedians or Jewish comedians who have a history of comedy behind them for years. Comedy to the Muslim crowd, it's new to them. And they are easily offended because nobody's joked about these things with them before. So they just go, oh my God, I'm offended. But they don't actually know why they're offended. Some of them are offended and they don't know why. Some of them are offended on other people's behalf. Some of them are the worst. And some of them are offended because other people are not offended enough. And then I'm like, if you ask these people, why are you offended? They'll just say, I don't know. I'm offended. That's why. They can't actually explain why they are offended. They just feel they should be.
Yes.
And I think that, in many ways, why our race, our religion is still not evolving is partly because of the sense of humor thing. Is that when the Jews and the black people got their sense of humor, they really started to make an impact culturally in the world. And we haven't, because our sense of humor is still stagnated, really. We take everything so seriously. And until we can laugh at ourselves and our situation, we will not evolve, and we will not have the same status in the world that other cultures have.
That's right. I 100% agree with you. Mina, have you ever had a situation where you got up on stage and you started talking about a certain thing, and then you started getting heckled by, women, or just like trying to heckle you for something?
Well, I think that, over here, there's huge Desi community here. Huge, more than any other nationality. So there's a lot of specific, like, we're gonna have an Indian comic night, we're gonna have a Pakistani comic night. And just one quick thing is what I noticed, just to piggyback off of what you were saying, is like sometimes a lot of comics would come from India, or we'd even have like some students take the workshops, and it was the same joke on repeat. And I'm like, did they all are they all just writing the same, like just hacking from each other? And then it took me time to realize it's because they're safe. They know these jokes are going to laugh.
Yes.
And they're not going to offend people. So I'm going to tell it in my own way.
Yeah.
And then it clicked up. It's because it's safe.
Yes.
And it's there's this fear of originality because, I don't want to rock the boat too much. So you'll see these very similar voices across the board. And every now and then you'll get this new voice that is really saying something that you're like, oh, yes. So it's really kind of interesting. And in terms of getting some shit from the audience, usually the audiences here tend to be pretty supportive because, like you're saying too, it's very new. It's very new in the Middle East. It's very new still in the Greek community, in the Arab community. So a lot of times I'll have people come up to me after the show like, this is the first time I have seen stand-up comedy in real life, mashallah. Oh my gosh. A lot of them are so happy to be there. They don't know to put their phones away. They're calling their friends. They're doing the whole thing. You're like, put your phones away, people. So sometimes when you interact with them, that's when sometimes people, they just want to talk too much, or sometimes they're like, don't make me look stupid. Don't make me look stupid. No, don't make me look stupid. So the crowd work, you have to be careful about. And that's the only time that sometimes, like I've done crowd work with someone who was not happy with it, did not want to look bad in front of his peers, and just kind of got rude. So you finish the joke and then you move on. So now I'm a little more selective with my crowd work. That's what I kind of like. I mean, and one time a woman did, I did an all women's, because there's actually a lot of all female events here, which are awesome. Really let your hair down. I was shocked. I was like, hey, how did I not know? Like these women's events were so much fun. Yeah. And the laughter, the women laugh so much louder when it's just women. Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah. And I could a lot more. A lot more. Yeah. Than when it was just women. Yeah. Because one time we were at this event and it was a mixed, and I had said a joke and I used inshallah in it, and this woman was so mad at me that you are not Muslim, you are not Arab, you should not be allowed to say this word. You should not make fun of this word. I said, no, I wasn't making fun of it. I was using it in context. No. She was just very angry, and she started petitioning the organizer, don't hire her again. She is talking about religion. And I was like, but I'm not talking about religion. I said inshallah, which means God willing. I know what the word means, and I was making fun of people who use it in the wrong way. Why are you so offended by that? It was so we had a very intense conversation, and it came to the conclusion that I'm allowed to do that joke in front of Arabs only, but not in front of expats, because then they're going to use that joke against them.
Interesting. I mean, to me, she sounds like she just hasn't had dick in a while, but that's just me. She just sounds like she doesn't fuck her often. But maybe she just needs a little bit.
So mad.
I actually, the best aunties that we had here. I did a show last year called Desi Girls Night Out, and we packed the room out. It was about like 300 women who showed up. Right, it was packed. And it was amazing. We had like a fantastic time. We had Indians, we had Pakistanis, we had Arabs, we had like everybody showed up, right? And I went up and I did this joke, and this is based on a true story, that I performed the Umrah when I was 11 years old. I went with my family and I performed 3 Umrahs. And the last Umrah, they didn't tell me that how intense the process was. That I ended up shitting my pants in the, as I was like trying to run out of to kind of end my Umrah, because the process is so long. My tummy started grumbling and I ended up crapping my pants. And I tell the story. And then these Pakistani aunties took it to Facebook to bitch about the fact that I was making fun of religion. Now, what does shitting my pants have anything to do with religion, right? The moment they hear Saudi Arabia, Umrah, Islam, like, she is making
That's what I meant when I said they're just offended because they feel they should be, or they are offended because on other people's behalf. They don't know why they're offended.
Right. Like, take the time to listen.
The trigger words that they've been taught, that oh no, stay away from it. So yeah, they
just listen to the context. Like, what is the context that she's saying it? And it was interesting because all the young Pakistani, audience members all came to my rescue. They were like, okay, are the Desi aunties complaining already? That show was amazing.
When I started comedy, the same thing happened to me. I didn't shit my pants, but what happened was I did a story. About how I did Umrah twice. And when I went to Mecca, I was walking around the Kaaba and somebody pinched my bum. Because, you know, in Mecca, everybody's pushing and shoving each other.
Yes.
And I thought somebody had shoved me, but somebody had pinched my bum. And I ignored it. And then it happened again. And I knew people do that in Mecca.
Yes, they do.
They pinch their asses. Someone pinched my bum. I made a joke of it, and I said it was the hand of God. Now, I got a lot of abuse. I got a lot of people death threats. You know, it was a joke. But I said the point I'm making is this happens to women in Mecca. Yes. They won't never speak up about it. You know what? The minute I did that joke, loads of women came forward and said that the same thing could happen to them.
Sure.
Oh, that happened to me. That happened to me. But there was some guys that went, "Oh, you're making this up. You're lying. You're just trying to make jokes about Islam."
Mm-hmm.
No, I wasn't. Yes. But it's like anytime a woman wants to say something, then they have to silence her.
That's right.
Or she's anti-Islam. She's anti-Islam, making jokes about Islam. I'm sure that if a man had done that joke, he wouldn't have been silenced in the same way. So when you talk about misogyny, that is misogyny in comedy.
Hardcore. I mean, hardcore. Can I say something? So I make a lot of posts and I make jokes and stuff like that. And I have noticed that I can say the exact same thing and then I will get a bunch of shit for it. And then I will see a Muslim male comment make the exact same joke and be totally applauded and praised for it. Right? Totally applauded and praised for it. And sometimes I go to the male comments. I'm like, hey, man, you got applauded and I got shit for the exact same thing. Like, don't you think for a moment it would have been a good idea to come to my defense or try to come and like help a sister out? Like, you know, we're like battling the same battle. So, and that brings me to the next topic of in the comedy world, the Middle Eastern and South Asian comics who are American raised or UK raised, I feel like on the surface they pretend to be very progressive and very like, oh, we're totally woke. Oh yeah, women power. Oh yeah, racism is bad. But they have no problem making like jigs at you, no problem making misogynistic comments at you and be like, oh, I was just kidding. I was just kidding. Do you experience that? Like, Mina, I don't know. What is that like for you in Dubai? I mean, I feel like, Mina, because you're also a New Yorker, you're also white or Italian, that also kind of gives you that extra kind of buffer in the sense that you won't get the same level of wrath that maybe Shazia and I would. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. And I think too, there's, I think one of you were saying that a lot of times women aren't confident or they fear confrontation. I'm the opposite. I'm not afraid of confrontation. So I came in very strong with that. So I think that I really owned my views and I do speak out against certain things. If I see something, I will call it out. Mm-hmm. And I think also, but what helped is I had met my husband very early on. So I kind of represent the expat, but also a strong female comedian. And my husband is local. He speaks many different dialects of Arabic. He also speaks Hindi. He knows the culture here. He knows South Asia. He knows everybody here. He really loves the country and everything. So we kind of balance each other out.
Yeah.
And it definitely, because we're a team, I definitely I'm blessed. I know that if I was just here by myself running a comedy company, it would be very different. And for him, I think it would also be very different. But because the two of us, we're very strong together. Yeah. And it's happened before where I've said something, a joke that did not translate properly. And sometimes I'll do some jokes in Arabic, sometimes in Hindi, because it depends on the audience. And somebody might start to get offended and he'll be there to have my back. And he'll be like, actually, this is what she was saying. Mm-hmm. And yes, she is a woman, but this is why she's saying this. So he has my back. And sometimes it's the opposite for him. He'll say something that will a woman will get, oh, I can't believe he did that. And I'm like, no, but why are you getting offended? He didn't say that. You thought that he actually said something else.
Right.
So for us, we, like you guys were saying, people got to support each other and not just half support each other when it's there convenient for them. Right. No. The males have to fucking stand up for the women. And that I've seen it so many times where the guys don't. And the women are just like, what the fuck? I have to just be, I'm like the only female on the lineup.
Right.
And you're going to give me all the time and not have my back? Fuck that.
Yeah.
So I've been lucky on that sense. But
I think the takeaway is that we need to get a husband. I think that is the takeaway from that.
Husband is allowed three. Husband is allowed three. We can talk afterwards. I don't know.
Inshallah. We don't really have that. We don't really have that luxury between. We don't really have that luxury. I think the great thing, maybe for like me and Shazia, is that we can very easily tell male comics to fuck off and not be in fear of getting banned somewhere or getting acid attacks thrown on us or be shot. Like we don't kind of have that. Not that I don't think that would happen in Dubai either. But we don't have that. Versus, I recently had a comedian who lives in Pakistan, and she's a Sindhi comic, and she's very funny in the top. So I discovered her, and I was like, "Hey, would you like to come and do a set?" And she was like, "Oh, most of my set is in Urdu, but I want to like prepare a set in English." I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." And she came and did a set, and she was awesome. She was really fantastic. And she really started talking about topics that she's like, I could never do these jokes in Pakistan because I would get so much shit for it. But I'm so glad that I can do this with you, and you gave me this opportunity to have this conversation. So I feel like, to me, comedy is freedom. Like, I don't think there are any, like, people can get offended, and you don't have to listen to comedy. You don't have to watch. But I feel like as comics, you have the right to talk about pretty much whatever the fuck you want. Shazia?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the whole point of doing comedy. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah.
As long as it's funny, you can say whatever. That's the whole point of it. You can say anything. Yeah. As long as there's a joke at the end of it, as long as you make someone laugh or whatever. It's your freedom. You've got the mic. Right. You know, you've been brave enough to get on that stage and say what you want. It's absolutely your freedom. And I think that's why it's the only place in the world, really, where you can say what you want without being censored.
That's right.
You know, if you're a politician, if you're an activist, if you're any of these things, you do have to consider being politically correct, talking to your audience, saying things, saying certain things, not saying other things. But in comedy, you can say whatever the fuck you want and make a joke of it and make people laugh. And that's brilliant. Yes. That's the whole reason why we do this.
Right. For sure. I mean, to me, comedians are modern day philosophers. I mean, there's no more Socrates. There's Shazia, Mirza, and Mina Liccione. You know, they're like.
But the problem is, like, we have Trump now, who also says whatever the fuck he wants.
Right.
And there's no joke at the end of it. There's no joke at the end of it.
That's right. That's right.
No.
And that's. But people look at him and they think, well, he's saying that. I can say that.
Right.
He said that about black people. He said that about Muslims. I can do that.
That's right.
And that is causing racism in the world.
Yes.
And hatred and people being attacked on the streets because Trump has legitimized this form of stand-up comedy, but it's not stand-up comedy. He's the fucking president.
That's correct. That's correct. We're not at a club. And there's no 2-drink minimum. Like, there's no 2-drink minimum. I don't know what it's like in Dubai, Mina, but we have 2-drink minimums here.
I know.
Yeah, put your card down. I just love it. Sometimes you go to comedy clubs and they're like, I'm like, I don't drink. And they're like, all right, just get 2 bottles of water. You're like, how much is the water? They're like $5 each. You're like, oh my God, what the hell? What'd you put in the water?
$1 nachos.
Why is this bottle of water $10? My goodness, it's so expensive. I just think we have certain comedy clubs in LA, which I shall not name, but they have this thing where they recently got in a lot of heat because they went online and said that they can't find female comics. Okay. Do you know how many female comics I personally have booked just in the past 5 years of me doing my Minority Report shows? Well over 200 to 250 comics. Easy.
Yeah.
Hands down, like not even a question. And this comedy club had the audacity to come out. And by the way, it's owned by a Middle Eastern guy, right? So you look at that and you're just like, what the fuck is going on here? How is it that you are claiming yourself to be so woke and so progressive, and then at the same time being so misogynistic and just acting as if, like just totally being told, I can't find female comics. And I'm like, give me a call. I'll give you 20 on the top of my head. I'll give you 20 like that. You know? Mina, I mean, when you do comedy in the comedy, are you usually the only female comic? I mean, first of all, how many female comics are even in Dubai?
Well, it's, the thing is like, we'll have many come out in a year, but a lot of times they don't continue. A lot of comics in general, because then they realize, oh shit, I have to write. I have to write. I have to get up on stage. I have to actually perfect. Like, I feel like there's this impatience that it's like you go from like zero to hero really fast, especially if you take a workshop. You know what I mean? It's like you're going to get coached. You're going to have this set and you're going to be like, oh my God, I got the buzz. But then making it, consistent is very hard for whether it's men or women. It's very, very inconsistent. So we'll have like in Funny Girls, we'll have different, lineups, sometimes every year, sometimes every few years. But we've had hundreds of women, but not at a professional level. They don't all continue. At a professional level, there's much less. In the UAE, I'm probably the most consistent and only full-time professional comedian.
Wow.
It's as even as a man, whether you're a man or a woman, being a full-time comedian in the UAE is very hard. It's not impossible. Like we're living it, but it's not. There's not as many opportunities. You have to create the opportunities. Right. You have to build yourself. You have to hustle, and it's
sounds like American.
A lot of
sounds like comedy in Los Angeles. Yeah, I mean, it's not. It's. I think. I very rarely do you find like Middle Eastern or South Asian or Muslim comics, female comics, especially in LA, who make a living doing this. I know Shazia, of course, makes a living doing this. I make a living doing this. There's maybe, I don't even know how many more people, maybe one other comic or two other comics I know who make a living doing this that are female. But all of the rest are just men. They're all guys. Mm-hmm. Guys get all the love. They get all the breaks. I mean, it's all guys.
Online, like, I'm friends on Facebook, you're friends with lots of other comics. They add you and stuff like that. So sometimes, you go through your feed and people will be like, hey, who are your favorite top 10 comedians of all time? And last week, someone put down who is the greatest top 10, physical comedians of all time. There was at least 500 comments and not one of them thought to say Lucille Ball or a female. Like, seriously? Like, and then I started thinking again, I'm just like, women are never included in these top 10 or top 20 of all time. This and this. I never see them. I really, really, really don't. I genuinely don't. Amy Schumer had come here to Dubai.
The only time I've seen it is Margaret Cho. Margaret Cho? Yeah, listed as one of the top 50 greatest comedians of all time in the Rolling Stone.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah.
I would have thought it would have been Joan Rivers. I would think Joan Rivers would be up there.
Yeah, Joan Rivers.
She started like
Joan Rivers was revolutionary. She was like groundbreaking, revolutionary, first woman to lead a chat show on American TV. They treated her so badly. She was a pioneer. Joan Rivers was a pioneer.
Yes. I mean, but Shazia, to me, you're my Joan Rivers.
Well, thank you.
I mean, like you really are, and I'm not like pandering or like.
Listen, there has to be somebody that does it first. Joan Rivers was the first Jewish woman. Ellen DeGeneres was the first gay woman.
Yeah.
Wanda Sykes was one of the first black women. Whoopi Goldberg. There always has to be somebody from your background to show you can also do it.
Yes.
If you don't see people that look like you on TV, you will always think, well, that's not for me.
Yes.
You have to see people that look like you reflected back at you on TV.
Yes.
And that's where we women, brown women, have struggled, because there aren't enough of us on TV. There aren't enough of us in comedy. So we always thought we can't do it. There isn't anybody doing it like us.
Yes, right. Agreed.
So somebody has to take a risk. Somebody has to do it.
We have our third guest joining us because she had a prior commitment and she's here. She has been seen on Conan O'Brien. I mean, I just watched her set. She's hysterical. I've been following her for a while. She's actually coming from Austin, and she's awesome. Maggie Maye. Maggie, hello, welcome, Maggie.
Hey, how you guys?
Hey, Maggie. We got Shazia and Mina here. Shazia's in UK, Mina's in Dubai.
Oh, I'm actually in from LA.
Oh, nice. Are in from LA? Are you sorry?
Yeah. I'm originally from Austin, but I moved to LA a few years back.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Am I frozen, by the way?
Yes.
A little bit.
Yeah.
What happened? It just froze me. It's like, you are not worthy.
It's better.
I don't know what happened. Goddamn technology, man. I don't know what's going on over here. Am I still frozen?
No, you're okay now.
Am I okay? Okay.
You're like Kung Fu movie. You're like a Kung Fu movie.
Kung Fu. Oh, there we are. Yay. Okay. All right. Sweet. Back in business.
Like a double over. You're a double over of yourself.
Well, Maggie, we were talking about misogyny in the, just kind of global misogyny, but we were also talking about it in the South Asian, Middle Eastern. But Shazia was talking about actually Trump and how he has given so much carte blanche kind of access to racists for people to be blatantly racist and to be blatantly misogynistic. Look, I'm in West Hollywood. I live 2 blocks from Melrose Avenue. And last Saturday was like major protests that happened, and then there was, the whole riots and everything that happened followed it. So I was like in the middle of a war zone, like having like massive PTSD, having grown up under a dictatorship in Pakistan, and I was like having like these kind of flashback moments while trying to do a comedy show for Stanford University online. So I was like, is there a gun that fits in my mouth that I can have right now? Because holy hell, this is a fucking nightmare right now. Maggie, what about you? Like, look, you're a comic who lived in Austin and now you're in LA. How has the whole protest and rise? How has that affected you? And I want to hear like your thoughts on it.
I'll just say this: I've been in my house. I'm immunosuppressed. I just don't have the luxury of going out, a bunch. I'm, quarantining that level. We all know that the protests are necessary, and I just refuse to entertain any further discussion. Like, we know these protests are necessary. We we saw what happened. We see what's going on. And I just, at this point, refuse to engage in any other kind of argument or marketplace of ideas or devil's advocacy. We all see what's going on. We all know what's going on. And you guys are all smart, rational women. We all see the necessity for this. So,
Agreed. I don't know if you guys have been following this on Twitter. Maggie, you probably won't, but I think Shazia and Mina would. So Priyanka Chopra, who has now become a pretty big star in America, is married to Nick Jonas. And she went on Twitter and started tweeting that racism in America has to end. And I respect that for her, for saying that. However, it's highly hypocritical when Priyanka Chopra, who got paid millions of dollars doing skin bleaching and skin lightening cream commercials in India, and now she's kind of here and just kind of pandering and just trying to appear woke when we all fucking know she's not fucking woke. There's like this whole Bollywood hypocrisy that's happening where they're like, oh yeah, oh my God, totally. I mean, there should not be any racism against Black people. And I'm 100% in agreement of that. But then it's like, if that is indeed the case, and if you indeed feel this way, then why would you get paid millions of thousands of dollars promoting skin lightening, as if like light skin or fair skin is better than what you have, whether you're brown or Black? Shazia?
Well, as we all know, that racism is not just about the color of one's skin. It is a deep-seated prejudice towards a race of people that goes far deeper than the color of their skin. And Priyanka Chopra, she did this advert for Garnier, which obviously she got paid millions and millions of dollars for. She wasn't thinking about a race of people, the prejudice towards people. She was just thinking about the money and promoting this, her own fame, her own money. And as we know, Mona, in our culture, the lighter skinned a woman is, the more chance she has of getting married.
That's correct.
And it's the same in Black culture. Beyonce having lighter skin makes her more attractive, apparently. Yeah. It will get her onto the cover of a magazine more than maybe a dark-skinned Black woman would. And so we know that in our culture, it's more than just about the color of the skin. It's about being more attractive. The whiter you are, the more superior you are. The whiter you are, the more attractive you are. The more desirable you are, the more successful you will be. Yeah. And so nobody in India and Pakistan wants to be dark. They want to be light. So she was preaching, really, to people who are already vulnerable, who want to hear this, who feel that if they buy this Garnier product and they use it on their skin, their life will be better. Yes. They will get a husband. They will be richer. They will be more successful.
The ads over here, there are so many. And it's like, oh, I need to go get this job. They're not giving me a call back. And then they use this lightening cream, and like a week later, they get the job. Like, it is insane. I'm like, how do people really believe this? But when you're taught from a tiny girl being told this, that you need to lighten your skin, of course you're going to believe that. I have twins. I have twin boys. As I said, my husband is Arab, and I'm Southern Italian, American, Native American Indian. I'm a funky mix. And our babies, I have two twin toddler boys. Mashallah. And one of them is a lot taller than the other one. He's like half my height now. He's like 2.5, and he's like 3.5 feet tall. He's basically the same height as Kevin Hart. Okay. So I call him Taller Swift, but he's also darker than his brother. And the Indian aunties at the doctor's office have told me, they have pointed it out, and they've commented on it. They've said, don't let him go in the shade. Keep him in the shade more. Don't let him go in the sun. Try to drink more milk. Try to do this. And I'm just like sitting there, and I at first I was like, is she joking? And I very quickly realized, I'm like, no, they're being very, very serious. Because if one son is darker than the other, he'll feel less than, or he might not have as many.
Yeah. Oh, Mina got stuck. Mina got stuck there. Mina's stuck. I don't know. She'll come through. Hopefully she'll come through. I think she probably had the same thing that I did. Welcome to technology. My mom used to bleach my skin in Pakistan, and I lived in a southern city called Karachi, and our summers are very hot, and I get very, very dark. And and my mom would try to force me to drink. My mom would force me to drink milk. Oh, now I'm stuck. Great.
Milk. Milk.
Look at that. There it is. I look like I'm having a stroke. Why do I look like I'm having a stroke? Don't I look like that? I literally look like I'm having a stroke. I'm having a Fair and Lovely stroke. That's what I'm having. Look at me. Where's my tube of Fair and Lovely? Dude, Shah Rukh Khan, who is the freaking biggest star of Bollywood, okay, He has been getting paid millions of dollars to promote skin bleaching, right? And then all these stars in Bollywood are going, I know I look like I'm having a seizure. Then they go on Twitter and they were like, oh my God, we stand against racism. I'm like, dude, you're racist against your own fucking people. What are you talking about? Fix the shit at home. Like, fix your shit at home. Like, what are you doing? You're trying to appear as woke, but you're not fucking woke. Like, you're just pandering because you also have deep-rooted racism, not only against Black people, but also against your own self, you know? Maggie, are you there? Maggie got frozen too.
Yeah.
I think StreamYard is punishing me.
Oh, no. Am I frozen?
No, you're a little frozen. Yeah, everybody's frozen now.
I'm not frozen.
Look at that. Damn you, StreamYard.
We're gonna all start singing Frozen now.
And this is a paid subscription. Imagine if it was for free. Just imagine that.
Oh. You'd be listening to ads by now. They'd be playing ads. Let's get that. I don't want dark and lovely. Just get out. Light and lovely. I want to be dark and lovely. Come on.
I want to be dark. Listen, my mom freaks out every time she calls me, especially when summer rolls around. I love going in the summer. I love going in the sun and getting tan. I just love it because my skin glows and I love it. And my mom, she's like, get out of the sun. Get out of the sun. You're getting too dark. And I was like, yes, it's beautiful. I love being this dark. I love how my skin glows in the freaking thing. Maggie, what about you? Like, I mean, you grew up in the Valley. You grew up in a pretty mostly white, white neighborhood, pretty white environment. What was that like for you? I mean, did you ever experience any shit like this?
Yeah, I'm also a first generation Nigerian, so I can also speak like color, like within the Nigerian community, being that we're a British colony. Colorism is how they get us to hate ourselves.
Yes.
No. Even within the Black community, I mean, it's like if you're a darker skinned person, you're a sidekick.
Yeah.
It's always the lighter skinned woman who's marrying it's just strange to like see it as a pattern when you grow up as a kid. Like, well, how come this is always this way? How come this is always that way? Like, it's just strange to be able to pick up on that pattern, yet those that are putting out the pattern are not realizing that we can see what they're doing.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, it's just like this global thing, man, where like the dark skin is just like immediately just a notch down. Like, it's an immediate notch down, I mean, I'm sorry, but I've seen some white people. Huh? Sorry,
that's the strength of white supremacy. That's the strength of white supremacy. They try to make people feel like there's a junior membership that they can get to. Oh, well, you're not white, but you're a light-skinned Black person, or you're a light-skinned, Indian person. So we can kind of give you some of the bells and whistles that we have. Not all of them that us white people have, but you can kind of see what it would be like to be white and kind of permeate it that way. It's just white supremacy being tricky and preserving itself.
Right, absolutely. I mean, I'm very happy that the protest happened because they had been a long time coming. I am very, very happy. I really believe that the protests are happening in the way they're happening, and it's a global thing. I mean, this is not a revolution. This is an evolution, and I'm so fucking proud of it, and I'm so happy that it happened. And I was having this conversation with my neighbor last night. They're Latino, and I was just like, if it hadn't been caught on camera from start to finish the way it was, I don't think it would have had the same impact the way it had. Because, listen, we've had so many innocent Black brothers and sisters in the past who've been murdered for no fucking reason. But because we didn't have the full video, people were like making all these assumptions. People were saying dumb shit. But because we have this from start to finish, we are looking at straight up evolution. And by the way, this has been happening for like years and years. I mean, we're talking about 400 plus years of oppression here, and then they're expecting like Black Americans to be like, oh, you're just always talking about racism. Oh, you always talk. Well, yeah, you've been fucking beating me down years. You've been robbing me of resources. You wouldn't let me rise financially. My children can't rise financially. What the fuck do you think is going to happen? You know?
Well, Mona, you have to remember that Rodney King was 29 years ago, and that was also on film.
Yes.
That was on film. A white police officer beating a black man, and we saw that. We saw that, and that was 29 years ago. So this isn't the first time we've seen something on film. This is not the first time we've had evidence. We've seen this before. It's just that they think they were going to get away with it because they have always got away with it.
Yes. I'm going to add a little bit to it, Shazia. I think because also we live in the age of viral and everything is global and you can post it on your social media and everybody, the world is connected on social media. It spread like wildfire. Back in 92, you didn't have your Twitter. You didn't have your Facebook. You didn't have your Instagram. You know, these things, the way they spread, it just had this massive impact on people. We're just like, well, wait a minute. This shit is still fucking happening. Like in real time, like this is where we're at. Like this is,
you know, Rodney King that started the LA riots back in the 90s, and then nothing happened. You know, white police officers still continue to do this because they thought they were going to get away with it because they were getting away with it. They were, and now I think they thought they were going to get away with it again. This time.
Yeah, I mean, and you're also looking at Breonna Taylor. You're looking at Ahmaud Arbery, who was just jogging. You know, I mean, you're just go ahead, Maggie.
I feel like that's really why these protests have kicked off like we did. We found ourselves in a perfect storm where, one, we're all at home and there's nothing that we can do. Like we're at home, and then there's the unrest of we're realizing that everything is being peeled away, and we're seeing all of the problems. We're seeing the problems with the healthcare system. We're seeing problems with our government bailing out trillions into the stock market for a 20-minute dip, and then we get some consolation prize of $1,200. We're seeing this, and we're getting angrier and angrier as just people in general, like globally. And then we see people protesting to go outside. We see people in Minnesota, armed people protesting in Minnesota at a Capitol building, and we get upset and annoyed because we know it's not the same. And then the Ahmaud Arbery thing happened, and then Breonna Taylor happened, and then we see the whole video of, and I mean, Ahmaud, Breonna, and George Floyd, this all happened within the past month. This was all within the past month.
That's right. That's right.
So all of these happened at a time where people were already pissed on both sides. They were pissed because they want to go back out, or they're pissed because people want to go out and they're not going to be safe. Like tensions were already high, and this was just the straw that broke the camel's back. And since the world is quiet, and since it's a slow news year for us this year, people of course picked up on it, and they were like, oh wow, no, like while you guys are changing everything you need to change with your healthcare access and with all these other things, then there's something else that y'all need to change. Since we're all exposing the problems and the cancers and the things that are festering under the surface, let's go ahead and uncover this problem too.
100%. I 100% agree with you. I mean, I think we have this deep-rooted problem in the South Asian, and I would even go as far as saying even in the Middle Eastern culture when it comes to colorism. We have a very, very big problem. I was told growing up in my entire life that I was very dark because I grew up in Pakistan, and I get very, very tan and very, very dark, and that I was ugly because of it. I would have relatives tell me that to my face, that I was ugly and I was unattractive. And then I had to get lighter to be beautiful or even to be considered for marriage. I mean, these are relatives saying that to my face. And in the process, I ended up developing a personality. So thank God for that. But I think racism is so deep rooted in the South Asian culture, Shazia, that even today it is not going anywhere. What do you think?
I think that you need to stop freezing because you look hilarious.
I'm trying to. I look like I'm gonna fall asleep right after this.
No, you really need to. You've got your hands in the air and your
Like I just don't care.
And your face is frozen, and it's really
like you just.
It's really something. I can't speak to you or take you seriously when you're in this position.
I'm trying to unfreeze myself, and I don't know how to do that. So.
Can you?
You're like jai-hoing it. She is jai-hoing it in the frozen box.
I mean, what was the question even? Really, what was the question?
I'm still frozen. I rolled myself and I added myself back, and I'm still frozen.
Mona, why have you frozen? Do you know what? I think your broadband can't take you anymore. I think that
I'm still frozen.
I think you have, Mona. I think you have broken the internet.
I think
Oh,
you've broken the internet.
Mona Kardashian. We'll call you Mona Kardashian now.
Oh my God!
First it was Kim's bottom.
Throw your hands up in the air.
Now it's Mona's face. I mean.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I think it's just gonna unfreeze itself as we go along, somewhere along the line. I'm putting in a prayer in with Allah to help me out with this. Praise be to Allah to get me unfrozen, because I don't know what the hell is going on here. Sorry, I was talking about deep-rooted racism in the Desi culture, man. Desi culture is still very much about, light-skinned, beautiful women. Like, can I ask you guys something? Do you think Priyanka Chopra is gonna get in hot water for this bullshit ass tweet that she put out?
Yeah, I do, because Priyanka says a lot of things which offend people, and she's clearly doing it for the fame and the money. A few months back, she said something about India and Pakistan and the fighting between them.
Yeah,
and also kind of defending the Indian Prime Minister, who's a right-wing fundamentalist.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people came down on her about that. And now she's come speaking out about racism, but endorsing products that whiten the skin. I mean, she's quite clearly doing things for fame and money. And I think eventually, if you are not authentic at this time, it's very easy for you to get caught out, because the world has a big voice now. People are really speaking out about stuff and injustice. And if you're someone like Priyanka Chopra, who clearly loves being in the limelight, loves being a celebrity, but you have to be held account to what you say. If you're going to talk out about racism, then you can't just say it. You've got to act on it. You can't be endorsing white products to whiten the skin and then say racism is bad, because you are enabling that racism by promoting white products.
Right. Exactly. And I'm so frozen.
Hypocrisy.
Yeah. No. The hypocrisy is alive and well and kicking. Do you think we as brown and black cultures have developed an inferiority complex? And when do you think we're going to start coming out of it? Because I think we are already beginning to come out of it, because of the way we're speaking out and speaking against celebrities like that, against white supremacy, against this fucked up ass president that we have in place. But I feel like it's pretty freaking deep rooted, where we feel that we are less than somehow. Maggie, what do you think?
I wouldn't say that. If anything, I see a lot more embracing of who we are and what we have to go through, and our, issues and struggles and, oppression that we're having to, fight against. Maybe I do and I don't know about it, but I don't know anybody who's black that wants to be a white person. Like, we would love the rights. That would be great. I would love easily combable hair. That's about it. But nobody I know that's Black wants to be white. It's just it seems that way because they're the ones who have all, you know what I'm saying? Like, if the Sneetches didn't want to be star-bellied, it just, that's not even an accurate thing. Sorry, I was trying to make an analogy and that wasn't accurate at all, but it's like no one wants to be the person. You just want what that person has. No one wants to be Kim Kardashian. You want her money and her fame.
Sure. Yeah, I mean...
That's a better...
I think there's like this... I think there's this Pakistani sisters. I think they're in the Middle East somewhere, and they literally look like the two Kardashians. I mean, it's just really sad when you look at that.
There's many. There's many. There's many.
I felt really sad for them, and I was like, that is a very sad existence that you constantly have to think. Maggie, I think the Black American culture is a lot more evolved, I feel, than the South Asian culture, in the sense that we are still worshiping the white skin, where, thank God, the African American community in America is not worshiping and doesn't think of it that way at all. With us, it's still very much a worshiping of like, oh, the white people, when they say it must be right. Like, whatever they say, it must be right. Like, oh, be lighter, be beautiful, like, be like them. Right, Shazia? Don't you think that way? Don't you think that's happening still?
What that white is more attractive?
Yes.
Well, I mean, that's because of what we see. It's mainly white women on the covers of magazines. It's mainly white celebrities. White people earn more money. White people get better jobs. It's white people running Hollywood. We only go on what we see. If there were more Black people in positions of power that could change things, that were earning more money. Every time a Black person or a brown person earns a lot of money, they make a big deal of it. Right. Because that's their only example. It shouldn't be a big thing. It should be normal. They should be earning the same as white people. We should be on the covers of magazines like all the white people. We should be getting roles like white people. It shouldn't be made an issue when one of us does it. And that's what's happened. That's what's happening now. It's like, oh, we've given a Black person a chance. We've given a brown person a role, Right. But why is it even talked about? Shouldn't even be talked about. It should just be normal.
Yep. Mina, do you see that?
They talk about it because it's normal.
Go ahead, Maggie. What were you saying?
So they talk because it's not normal. Like, people when you can put one example, it's the same thing if people like, oh, racism is over, Obama was president. If they can point to that one example, then in their minds, problem's over. We don't have to worry about all of you guys saying that you don't get cast. We cast that one. Like, that's just one example is enough to soothe people who really don't care.
That's right. Look, we have one example, right? Hey, we made Obama president. That means racism is over. I mean, if we were racist, then why would we elect a Black president? He got elected because he's a phenomenal human being. He's a phenomenal leader. That's why he got elected. Like, he didn't get elected because he's Black. He got elected because he's incredible. I mean, even now that he's not the president, have you heard some of the statements that he makes? I mean, the man is he's just phenomenal. Like, I was watching, I don't know if you guys have access to, I mean, the folks that Shazia and Maggie do. Mina, I'm sure you have it too. The Netflix special that they did on Michelle Obama.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. It had me in tears, man. It had me in tears because she's just such a beautiful, powerful woman, and they just keep raising the bar. Every time you talk to them, they just keep raising the bar. People keep coming at him with bullshit ass shit. They just keep raising the bar, and you're like, wow, man. The kind of shit that, like a Black family has to go through that's in the White House, or a brown family has to go through if they're in some kind of position of power, versus what the bullshit like white family has to go through. Like Trump with this. By the way, does anybody know where the fuck Melania is? Anybody have any clue?
Melania died years ago, and they just keep wheeling out. She's dead. She died 10 years ago, but I think they're just wheeling out this imposter now. But I don't think she exists. She was secretly murdered by the CIA, I'm sure.
Do you think this imposter is like the dead version of her? They like Weekend at Bernie's her?
It's like a blow-up doll. It's like the blow-up doll, Melania. They've just stuffed her and wheeled her back out. I don't think this woman exists. Nobody heard her speak in the first place.
No, you have to be pissed.
Except when she did Michelle Obama's speech, when she plagiarized Michelle Obama's speech.
That was the best. And she got dragged out on the social media for it. I mean, she got like dragged, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. What do you guys think? What do you guys think the protests and the impact that's happening right now? I mean, we're already beginning to see changes where Mayor Garcetti, the LA mayor, just came out today where they're passing a law or they're taking off like apparently a chokehold or a neck grab. When taking in people was a common thing, and now he's removing that as part of a mandatory thing. What kind of changes do you think it's going to make big changes at this point with what's happening right now? Maggie, what do you think?
I mean, one can hope. The amount of changes that really need to happen and the amount that needs to go against status quo, like, I mean, we can hope, and, I always hope, but I feel like the police ought to be defunded, and that's a hard sell for a lot of people. That's a hard thing to get your mind wrapped around for, if you don't really like take the time and look and really see what it means to defund the police. But like, I'll be cautiously optimistic. I hope that this ushers in some real change and not just you can't use a chokehold, and they also can turn off their body cams and then it's their word versus their, like, all of that is like, that's all nice and everything, but like, yeah, that's all honor system stuff. If you don't turn, we're like feeling so great because we got everybody to wear body cams. Now they don't turn them on, and like, so it's purpose of even having one. So like, if you're not even telling the truth about what you're doing and you're not having any sort of accountability, like what hope do I have that you're going to do the right thing when it's just left up to you? If somebody has to tell you in the first place, don't use a chokehold on a human being. If you're just trying to like detain, like someone has to tell you that in the first place, what makes me think that you're going to like of your own volition, do so, if you need the letter of the law written and you can't understand the spirit of the law, which is don't harm those that you're here to protect and serve. How, like, what else do I need to write down for you? Like, I that doesn't really like, that doesn't make me feel like we've like won anything or like we've, gotten any kind of a victory by saying like, you can't do chokeholds. Like,
that's right. No, it's not. It's not nearly the difference. I mean, you have these guys, like police guys, like doing KKK signs. Did you see that in New York during the protest? One of the cops standing there and he's doing the KKK sign, and I'm like, motherfucker, do you know what's happening right now? Like, you're throwing off like KKK sign. They should remove that asshole like immediately. Take all his pension away, all his salary. Fuck you. Get the fuck out. You don't deserve to be in this in this uniform. Maggie, when you talk about defunding the police, can we go a little bit deep into that? I know that's it's like a big overwhelming thing. Like, what do you mean by defunding the police? Tell me about that. Like, you mean let's have no police?
I mean, I'd be cool with no police. I feel like if we were to place the police, people who were actually trained how to help people who need the kind of help that they're going to be needing, like, then, that would be one thing. But as it is, the police are not trained to deal with a lot of the problems that they are also tasked to deal with. They're kind of a catch-all. If you don't know who to call the police. Like, the police is here to take care of stuff, but also worked as a transcriptionist for like Health and Human Services Commission back when I lived in Texas. And I would hear people say like, the police do not have the training for this. The police are responding to these things and they aren't trained to deal with this. They don't have the training to deal with mental health. They don't have the training to deal with people who have like certain issues. Like they don't have that kind of training. So if it's an issue of we need to have people helped, well, why don't we replace them with people who can take care of these issues? Like a lot of the problems that we have are allocated to the police. Like I think, what is it, about 50% of the budget to deal with homelessness is just for police sweeps. How does that help? It helps nothing. And like the amount of money that we spend on like technology for police that they can just turn around and not use. You know, we spend all this money for body cams for police so we can give some kind of a semblance of them having some sort of a watch over, like a watch on them, and then they don't turn it on, and it's defeated the purpose. We've spent all this money for what? For nothing. Like, I don't think we should be spending all of this money to give militarized gear to police officers, because one, that doesn't help anything, and two, and it just helps give them the mindset that they are at war against the people that they're actually supposed to be protecting, serving. So the entire system and like how it's what we're allocating money towards and what we are funneling energy towards, it all needs to be changed and scrapped. And it's not a thing of like, oh, well, we can fix it from here where we are. We can fix it from where we are. No, we need to dismantle what is currently not working and rebuild it to something that will work.
Right. No,
that's the only way.
Right. No, I 100% agree with you. I mean, we have like well over 85,000 homeless people in Los Angeles, in Skid Row. Like you go down to Skid Row, it looks like a zombie land. Like these people have no resources. The government doesn't give a shit about them. They're like the forgotten children of God, you know? And it's like, nobody should be a forgotten child of God. Like we are all God's people. Like this is, we are the richest nation in the world. How can we not take care of the weakest in our community? How is that possible? Like we have so much money. We just had a trillionaire. Amazon's Jeff Bezos just became a trillionaire. We don't have enough money. We have plenty of fucking money, you know? Mina, what about you? You know, I mean, have you guys had protests in Dubai for this?
No
protests.
No.
Interesting.
No, it's tricky. Protesting is a bit tricky over here. There was many revolutions that happened, and there were different groups and different things. So it's a different world. It's kind of a different world over here. So the protesting is in different forms. There's a lot of stuff that's online. There's a lot of artwork. There's a lot of hip hop. There's a lot of rap being written. But it's a bit more complicated in the Middle East. And I think that there's a fear of protests in that capacity. So we always kind of laugh. We're like, it's way too hot outside. But in reality, it's not really. The UAE again is so. It's really focusing on tolerance. Again, over 200 nationalities live here very peacefully. And everything that's happening like in Palestine and Israel is right around the corner. We have India and Pakistan happening. We have Syria. And then there's so many things that are happening. Even in Saudi, there's so much corruption that the UAE is kind of like this safe haven. And they protesting here. I don't know if I don't think that they would. I think they would support people being fighting against racism, and they do have laws intact here. Like I kind of briefly spoke about it earlier, but if I was to go on your Facebook page right now and say something, a racist comment, shit about your religion, you can take it to the police and you can arrest me and press charges. They take it very, very, very seriously. Cyberbullying, WhatsApping, you will get fired. I mean, it's they don't take any shit. If something, the line is crossed, it's addressed right away.
Yeah.
So they're trying to fight racism, and they're really, really doing their best to try to enhance tolerism and diversity and just peaceful standard of living.
Yeah.
So I think for them, a protest might rock the boat. And I can't speak. I honestly, I can't speak for the government, but this is just my interpretation of it. Is that definitely? I think I don't know about that, but there's a lot of stuff again online. There's a lot of discussions. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes, but in terms of marching in the streets, no, not here.
Yeah. I mean, so people do protest online, and if they're saying, you know, or if they come out and they say something against the protest, would they be arrested or would they be losing their jobs over it? Is that something that would happen to them?
I think like if as an American, if I'm very open about my discussions online, and you know, I definitely, you know, I'm you know, we have moms groups on Facebook, right? And so there's a group for like American moms living in the Middle East, and we try to like, you know, and sometimes it's like, you know, just like some bullshit like, yo, where's the best tacos at? But sometimes it's like with right now, it's like, yo, even though we're not in the States, we can't, no. This is happening, and we need to acknowledge it, and we need to talk to our families about what's happening. What are we doing to be better moms? What are we doing to like raise better kids? We have to have a discussion right now. Yeah. And if one of these women came and attacked me because I was saying, what are we doing? And you know, what are we doing? What are we doing to make a difference? I don't want to talk about tacos today. I want to talk about action. What are we actually fucking doing? And if somebody wrote on me, oh, you're supporting these Black people, you're doing this, and this. Oh, no. I can print screen this, and I could go to the cops today, and the cops would arrest her.
Wow.
They do not play with that.
I love that.
They do not play with that.
I mean, I respect that.
I definitely like.
Yeah. No,
yeah. They will.
Yeah, I respect.
They won't tolerate that, and so that I've never seen that in extreme. I'm like, okay, all right.
Yeah,
so,
no, I respect that a lot. I mean,
and even like when the revolution was happening, there was like UAE, like I think like other countries when the Arab Spring was happening, and there's a lot of revolutions and protests and all kinds of things were happening. In the UAE, the things that they were fighting for in all their countries, we didn't have those problems. There wasn't a reason for it. Mm-hmm. Again, our leadership, they hear the people and they want to make it better. Like we're a very young country over here, but they implement stuff so fast like I've never seen before in any other country. So I see progress, and you know. I can't wait to see this. You know, again, I've been here 13 years, so I've seen a huge difference. Yeah. But I definitely like can't wait to see it 5 years from now. And those protests in the States are making a huge impact. Impact. I hear people talking about it online, in the grocery store. And again, I've been on lockdown as well, so I'm not as social, but like I'm doing a lot of like Zoom shows and different things. Everyone is talking about it.
Of course.
You see what's happening, and people are not ignoring it over here. And the conversation is big time getting started on a different level, where people sometimes online were a little afraid, and people are schooling each other right now, because over here they'll be like, no, hashtag all lives matter. What about this? What about that? And people are stepping up, and they're like, no, and this is why. And it's amazing to see, not just in the States. It's like over here, people are like, no, we need to look at this and take it seriously. So I think that's pretty dope. I think it's pretty dope. And it's definitely, looking from the outside in, you know, it's hard. Honestly, I'm not going to lie. I want to be there. I want to be there marching in the streets. I want to be there 100%.
Yeah.
And so I'm not, but I can see where I'm at. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if someone wants to talk about it, I'm like, let's have this uncomfortable discussion. Let's get real and let's talk about the system. You know, I can't tell you how many people I've been like, so have you heard of this woman? Let's was watching Jane Elliott. Have you heard of Jane Elliott? let's watch this video.
Jane Elliott. Jane Elliott is one of the fattest bitches out there. Jane Elliott is a star.
No joke. In 1968, she conducted her first social experiment with a group of third graders the day after Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. Like, can you imagine, like, this white woman, a teacher in a small Midwestern, like, all white school was like, I want to make a difference.
Yeah.
Oh my, like, so much respect for her. And to this day, I look back and I watch those same videos of her on Oprah, and it's louder than it was then.
Yes.
I'm like, oh my God, the things that she said, and she speaks on a different level to teachers, to non-Black mothers and educators and people just around the world. She has a different type of voice that people are like, wait, she's old. She's 80? Because we all have at least one racist person in our family that we're afraid because we're like, oh, they're too old. No. Now's the time. We have to say something.
Yep.
Age is not. That's not an excuse.
Yeah.
Old and racist is not. That's not an excuse. Sorry.
You can't use age to justify hate.
Yeah.
Watch Granny Jane and you old bitch.
I love Jane. She's pretty fantastic. Shazia, we'll get your thoughts, and then we're gonna wrap up. And you ladies are more than welcome in the group chat to put down your socials if you want to type them now and start to put your socials down. You're welcome to. But Shazia, your last thoughts.
Well, in London, everybody has been protesting. I mean, we were in the middle of a worldwide pandemic, and a Black man got murdered, and it knocked that pandemic off the scale. No one gives a shit about coronavirus. A Black man got murdered and everybody went mad. Everybody's been protesting in Birmingham, Manchester, Liverpool, London, all over. No one gives a shit about the virus. They're going out there without masks on, without gloves on, and they're protesting. It's like, you know what? Another Black man got murdered. People are so angry. No one gives a shit about the virus. That's how bad and how angry it made people feel.
Amazing. I mean, and where did he live? What city was he from?
Sorry?
What city was he in? The guy who was murdered.
Oh no! Well, I'm talking about what's happened in America. This one.
You're talking about George and Ahmad and Brianna. Yeah, for sure. I mean, for sure. Ladies, I know I've had the other ladies on for like 2 hours, and Maggie have had you for almost an hour too. So, my God, this panel was way better than I even expected to be. I was like, this is going to be a really awesome panel. I'm like, no, this panel is even better than I even thought it was going to be. But this is so very awesome. Thank you for taking the time. For Shazia, it's her evening time. Mina, it's like past midnight. And Maggie, thank you for taking time on your Saturday.
Like 2 a.m.
2 a.m.
Oh wait, I know, and I got a bra and lipstick on. I'm
Thank
like,
you.
Listen, I can't see the bra, girl. So we've all been having our tatas out here. Nobody's been wearing a bra during the pandemic. I don't know who's wearing the bra. You know.
I tell you what, Mona, my breasts have been self-isolating. They have been.
Mine are just social distancing because I just had another birthday. So they're just social distancing on a level that I've never seen it before. My fupa keeps getting bigger and my tits keep getting social distancing. So it's, you know what the fupa is, right, Maggie? You know the fupa.
Oh my God.
I can't hear you.
I said, can you hear me now? I said, you know what the fupa is?
Yeah, okay, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I was saying my fupa keep getting bigger is what I was saying. But you ladies are so amazing. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Maggie, where can we find you on social media? Where can people follow you?
I'm at Maggie Maye, haha. And May is spelled Maye, so Maggie like normal, Maye, and then haha like usual.
Can you type it also in the group chat? Can you see it? Can you see the group chat?
Yeah.
I put it in private chat. I couldn't find a place to put it in the group chat, but I'll keep looking. I'll do that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I think it should let you do it. I don't know why it doesn't let you. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, it's in here. I see it. Oh, I see it.
Yeah. Private chat. I'm in the private chat.
I see. Oh, it doesn't let you.
I was in the private chat the whole time.
Yeah, me too. Yes.
Put
Okay.
it in the private chat.
Yeah, so I'm just copy pasting it because that's what I do with my entire life. I just copy paste everything.
I didn't know how to put it in with the
Copy paste.
I got you, girl. Don't you worry. I got you. Ladies, this has been.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Thank you, Mona.
This was wonderful. Thank you so very much. I'm sorry about the technical difficulty and that I still look like I'm having a stroke. But
Yes.
I think
But a Bollywood stroke. A Bollywood stroke at that. You're going for it.
I'm raising the roof. I'm raising the roof is what I'm doing. Ladies, thank you very much.
It looks like you're waiting for the beat to drop.
Bye.
I am waiting for the beat to drop. Yes.
No, just keep inspiring.
Bye.
Like all of y'all are leading the way, and I see you. And if you ever need anything from Dubai or you want to venture over here again, you just give me a holler because we need to hear your voices. All right, you have a family welcome waiting for you.
Thank you very much. I can't wait. Ladies, thank you very much. Shazia, Maggie, Mina, I love you, ladies. Thank you so very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thanks, Maggie. Bye.
That was fun.
Oh my God. It's thank you very much. I'm still frozen for reasons beyond my comprehension. I don't know, but thank you to everyone for joining us. You can follow us. This is still going to be on the Facebook Live. It's still going to be on YouTube Live, on Mona Shaikh. You can go and check it out. Thank you very much for joining us. I love you guys. I'm still frozen, but that's okay. See you guys next time.